Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to start a new topic in the clinical neurology area, infantile hemiplegia. You are all very much aware of the hemiplegia causing affecting the adult population due to cerebrovascular accident. So similarly, today's topic is about hemiplegia happening to infants or neonates. So even though this condition is etiologically in some way common, but we have to consider it different because of the developmental sequence which happens in the neonates and infants. So basically, you know that hemiplegia means or hemiparesis is affecting one side of the body, paralysis of one side of the body. So first we'll go through the part of the central nervous system where the this is affecting. So here you can see the cortex, the corona radiata. That is the part of the uh, descending system. That is a motor system. So from the cortex, you have in different areas you have the descending system. So you have the corona radiata, then the internal capsule, then where the decussation happens, and then descends as the descending motor tracts. Also, you have the brainstem after the cortex. Inside the cortex itself, you have the corona radiata. Uh, from the cortex, you have the corona radiata, then the internal capsule, and then it reaches the brainstem level. The brainstem is divided into three parts: midbrain, pons, and medulla. And then you have the spinal cord begins and it ends below the level of L1, forming the chorda equina area. So the cortex basically, we can say that whenever the cortex is affected, what you see is the face and the arm is affected more than the leg. The face and the arm is affected more than the leg. Speech, if the dominant hemisphere, speech is affected, if the affected area is uh, left. Dominant hemisphere means usually, for example, most of the people are right-handed people. So the dominant hand is the right hand. In those cases, the patient's uh, dominant hemisphere is going to be left, because we all know that our body is controlled by the one side of the body is controlled by the opposite side cortex. So normally, right-handed people, their left hemisphere is the dominant hemisphere, and so we consider that the dominant hemisphere is also the hemisphere of speech, but it may differ for people who are left-handed. And seizures are also common in these kind of, when cortex is affected in infantile or neonatal hemiplegia. Cortical sensory involvement is there. Whenever the cortex is affected, the sensory area, somatosensory area may also be affected. So not only somatosensory area or the other sensory visual areas, or other auditory area, all the areas may be affected. So according to the level or area affected, the cortical sensory involvement will also be there. Then we did discuss about the corona radiata, that is the area of motor area, or actually originating from the area called as the motor area. The cells which are what we call as motor cells or bed cells, which are the largest neurons. So whenever there is a lesion or whenever there is a cerebrovascular accident leading to hemiplegia in infants or in neonates, or even in the case of congenital also, whenever the internal capsule is an area where the descending tract, actually the motor area, that becomes very dense, actually becomes thicker. So it small area and they are coming down, descending downward, and then leading to crossing decussation. So this area has a thickly packed motor neurons. So whenever there is any CVA or lesion in this area, small lesion in the internal capsule or corona radiata may lead to what we call as severe paralysis. So that is what is called as, whenever the lesion is in the internal capsule, we call it as the dense hemiplegia. And also there may be, because this area, whenever there is this area it's happening, this area may also have the some ascending tracts also. Ascend the sensory area is also present, very adjacent, so hemisensory loss may be there. And also the internal capsule also has the connecting motor connecting pathway of the the what we call as the optic tract. The optic tracts are present in this area also. So that may lead to homonymous hemianopia also. So basically, the homonymous hemianopia is not due to affecting the internal blood circulation to the internal capsule is affected. The same blood circulation is supplying to the sensory area as well as the same area sensory area as well as the sensory area of the eye. So that will lead to the homonymous hemianopia also. So internal capsule is affected in children's. You get dense hemiplegia, hemisensory loss, homonymous hemianopia. The brainstem is affected. So there may be crossed hemiplegia. So whenever the brainstem is affected, we call it as crossed hemiplegia. When, because this happens, normally we see that the same side of the body is affected, but in the cortex is affected same side of the face, and the same side lower limb also is affected. But in if the brainstem is affected, same side, where which side the brainstem is affected, that same side face, the face will be affected, and that is a cranial nerve of that side will be affected. But the the body, upper limb and lower limb, the opposite side will be affected. So we call it as ipsilateral, same side cranial nerve palsy and opposite side hemiplegia. Examples of brainstem, the hemiplegia are Weber syndrome. In Weber syndrome, because the midbrain is affected, third nerve, that is the oculomotor nerve, is affected of the same side, and the opposite side hemiplegia. In Millard-Gabler syndrome, the pons is affected after the midbrain. Then next to part of the brainstem is pons. So when pons is affected, normally the abduction and the facial nerve is affected. So when the abduction nerve is affected, the lateral nerve, so this is the medial skin plus same side medial skin, as well as the facial weakness, along with opposite side hemiplegia. In the Jackson syndrome, the 10th, that is a medulla, is affected. So the 10th, 12th nerve, 11th and 12th nerve will be affected, vagus nerve, accessory hypoglossal, all this of the same side, and the opposite side hemiplegia will be there. When spinal cord will be affected, all of you know that the cortex is not affected, the cranial nerves are not affected, so face will be spared, no cranial nerves are affected, but hemisensory loss as well as weakness of the same side, that is the lower limb, upper limb and lower limb will be there. But the face totally is spared, nothing will happen in the face, none of the cranial nerves are affected. So that is a big, difference between this when hemiplegia happens in the spinal cord. In congenital hemiplegia, causes of hemiplegic CP. So whenever the child is having congenital hemiplegia, normally we put that child into that pathology into cerebral palsy. So even though it's a cerebral palsy, we are including here this in this case because it can also, it's almost similar. Prenatal, that is before delivery, and perinatal insults means any cardiovascular accidents or insults during before delivery or during delivery. So two types of injury may be there: vascular, that is leading to the injury of the blood vessels, which may be the artery or the vein, and then the structural, which is anatomical injury lesion, that is usually a something like a tumor or any other kind of traumatic injuries can also lead to such problems. So some of the clues, because congenital hemiplegia are very difficult to identify, because already the child, the neonate is congenital when born. Normally, much of the body functions are not there. So most of the functions are what we call as reflex functions. So identifying that which functions, which side is affected, difficult. So the way to identify, some of the way to identify is, one is asymmetric Moro. There is the normal Moro reflex is there. So whenever you're doing, you hold the baby in your hand, two hands. That is, put your one hand like the supporting the head of the child by one hand and the body in the same forearm. Suddenly you drop the head downward. The child will go open two hands and then embrace, like opening the hand and then embracing the both hands. So in this Moro reflex, when you try to do Moro reflex in such children's, one side you will actually two side hands should open and embrace, then come close. But here only one hand will open. That is why we are calling asymmetric Moro. Means both sides Moro reflex is not positive. So that means you can doubt there is a congenital hemiplegic problem. Early handedness means normally the child, when the child during development, the neonatal stage and the early infancy, we cannot understand that whether the child is right handed or left handed. So this handedness, what we're saying is the dominance of one hand, right handed person or left hand. So this will normally develop after due course of milestone development. But in this case, what is happening is, because one hand is paralyzed, so that hand is not going to move. So the other hand will, we will feel like this other handed is dominant handed. So that's why we will see an early handedness, early dominance of a particular hand. So this also will give you a doubt about whether the child is having congenital hemiplegia. Smaller limb bark hand compared, and compare the nail size. So because congenitally there is a hemiplegia happening, the motor activity is affected. So the child's muscular power and motor activity reduced. So smaller limb size and smaller hand size, and also even the nail size will be smaller. Delayed motor milestones, that is common for any condition. Here also, any problem with in the neonates with related to neuropathology will lead to delayed motor milestones. Here also it is common. And then one side, when the child is going to the early infancy stages and trying to do, crawling, creeping, all those sitting and all activity, the child constantly falls to one side, because that side hand is not protecting the child. The child is not able to protect him or her themselves, So cortical thumb is another hand. The what cortical hand, in hemiplegia, is that the hand will come flexed. That is shoulder reduction, elbow flexed, forearm pronated, and the wrist flexed. And this is called as, then the thumb is gone into flexion. That is called as cortical thumb. 20 to 30% of children will have seizures. In acquired hemiplegia, we already talked about the congenital hemiplegia. Now we are going to the acquired hemiplegia, which is stroke, and the other one is which is not stroke, which is non-vascular, but mimics, like it shows like it is replicating like a stroke only. Differential diagnosis. So which are all not the stroke? One is Todd's paralysis. Todd's paralysis is a temporary paralysis after seizure, after episode of seizure in children's. Usually, the seizure it's a big topic. I'm not going to. We'll study that later. Any kind of seizure it may be, which is an involuntary movement of the body, and where the conscious level of the child is affected, and this may lead to temporary paralysis of one side of the body. So one side of the body will go temporary paralysis after the seizure happens. This is called as Todd's paralysis. Next is the acute disseminated encephalomyelitis. So this is acute disseminated encephalomyelitis. So both the brain and the spinal cord is affected due to acute dissemination injuries.